What is a dirty little or big secret about an industry that you have worked in that people outside the industry really ought to know? Half of the so-claimed services they offer at Jiffy Lube never get completed, either by laziness, or it may be impossible to do it the proper way on certain cars. The store's hours distributed for employees are directly affected by average ticket sales, which means, at least when I was store manager at one, that if we didn't have an average of $65 plus at the end of the day per car, then we got wrote up. Jiffy Lube is a dirty evil company that takes advantage of people. And that's why I left to take a lower position elsewhere. Even though I made less money, I knew I wouldn't be selling people things they didn't need. Felt good quitting that freaking place. I got my oil changed there once. Shortly after, my check engine light came on. O2 sensor was purposely broken. Also, someone wrote jerk on the oil filter. HMM. Okay. Obviously the Jiffy Lube guy did it. Went back to jail and the guy had already been fired. They paid for my repairs. I work on a farm. When they say you should wash your produce thoroughly at home, they are not joking. Accountant here. It is actually ridiculously easy for about 90% of you to calculate and file your taxes. Very true. However, if you run a business, hire someone. Covers your butt. Aren't chain bookstores. So many perfectly good books get thrown out. Mass market paperbacks are cheap to manufacture and get shipped out in huge volumes. For some publishers, particularly ones that put out new mysteries or romances quarterly, when the bookstore wants it off the shelf, to make room for something new, it's just not worth the cost of taking them back and finding someone else to sell it. But they don't want anyone getting them for free. So as a bookstore employee I spent hours ripping the front and back covers off of books, then tearing the book at least in half, so that no one could read it later. The covers get sent back to the publishers, and the books that could have been donated to a library or school get put in a locked recycling container out back. A manager had to come back and check my work to make sure the books were not left intact. I almost cried the first time I had to rip up a load of kids' books in a city with high child poverty rates and underfunded schools. I'm a celebrity event photographer in Hollywood. Most of the smaller award shows winners like the MTV VMAs, Teen Choice Awards, etc. already know they are going to win. This motivates the talent to come to the event. During the show they are backstage talking with friends and take a seat during a commercial break just before their award is announced. The few exceptions are the Oscars and Golden Globes, where the audience is mostly celebrities. Little secret. When you buy carpet you usually need less square footage of pad than carpet. But most companies bill you the same square footage for both and often send less pad than you paid for. I work at a US lobbying firm, and I'm sure no Redditor would be shocked to hear that US legislators are ignorant. You might be surprised just how ill-informed a lot of them are, though. Like the congressman who believed David Cameron was a member of the Socialist Party. Or the one that asked me why we called it Russia now, not the USSR. Or the senator who told me he'd grown up drinking seawater and it was healthier for you. Or the governor who thought all Jews were killed by Hitler. The list could go on. Fiber internet service provider here. Bandwidth is not a scarce commodity like they want you to think it is. It is all about profit margins and oversubscribing the network. People that work in call centers often hit their mute buttons to tell their co-workers about the total retard on the phone. I work in non-fiction television and have made shows for History and Discovery. The execs at these companies grew up watching these channels and actually want to make educational informative documentaries. Unfortunately no one watches documentaries anymore, so we have to appeal to the lowest common denominator and make reality TV trash to remain competitive. I've said this before, but it's worth noting again. 75% of people on Twitter are fake. I used to work for a social media company and spent all day creating and acting like people online to connect people to our clients and make them fans of their music / food / whatever. We also had a blast program where we could tweet stuff out from accounts to create trending topics. So most of that stuff is organized. If you own your own business, never, and I mean never, do any work for anyone with the promise of more business later on. If they want you to do it free the first time, just drop them as clients and move on. I worked for a political consulting firm and was completely floored when congressmen/women would come in for media training, learning to be normal on camera or in front of constituents. Nearly every politician who came in for training was clueless and literally had their views on the issues fed to them by my boss, the media strategist. Sounds obvious, but it's really horrifying to witness. Edit. Reddit Gold. Reddit Gold. Thanks so much. I worked on a political campaign, and it made me realize how completely fake politics are. I mean, I had an idea, but no one is allowed to say anything that isn't part of the pre-prepared messaging. They'll do anything to avoid topics that aren't within the outlined priorities, even if it's something they personally care about, or should. Everything is decided based on what strategists think will get votes. It's really disheartening. Edit. My very first Reddit Gold. Thank you, generous benefactor. From my former job, the US military has a tradition where you spend your entire budget by the new fiscal year, or you risk losing that portion of your budget. I've been in units that would go out and purchase $200,000 worth of useless crap just to avoid having a budget surplus. Multiply by the number of units in the military, a crap ton, and you have all your fraud, waste and abuse. Same everywhere. If you don't use the budget, they reduce it the next year. 2007, only 4% of Italian olive oil leaving Italy was actually pure olive oil. Fake olive oil has the similar profit margins as cocaine trafficking with none of the risk. About 70% of the olive oil that comes into the US is thought to be cooked at Crapplebee's for a short while saving money to move out of state. They microwave pretty much 80% of the menu, and the food is a small step above Burger King in quality. I work for a wrap store. Here is a few things I have learned since working here. Writing fragile on your package means nothing. Your package will get thrown around, dropped, and beaten up. If it is breakable, then according to our guidelines for properly packaged items, it needs to withstand 1,000 pounds of pressure and a 4-foot top. Ups Capital claims is terrible as well. They will do whatever they can to not pay you the amount you insure your package for. Edit. After being on Reddit for over a year, this is the post that gets the most upvotes. Lol. Ex-Panera Bread employee here. Everything is microwaved. All soups and pastas come in frozen bags, reheated for the customer. Pastries and breads come in half-baked. Bakers just slap on some frosting/fruit and heat it up. It's all fast food quality food, but with a good reputation. Plus it was terrible to work there. If people would brush and floss once or twice a day really well and correctly, 90% of us dentists wouldn't have a job except for maybe oral surgeons for wisdom teeth. Edit. Yeah, no. I wish I didn't make such a hyperbolized statement out of humor and good-natured go brush your teeth attitude. I'm a restorative dentist. That means most of my work is to fix decay and its repercussions in the mouth. I meant this statement from a restorative dentist's standpoint and what my patients come in for. Orthodontists, oral surgeons, periodontists, endodontists, pediatric dentists, prosthodontists, they all do things that involve and don't involve decay. There's congenital conditions, systemic conditions, and all these other factors that I didn't take into account when I made my one-sentence self-deprecating statement at my particular field in our profession. I apologize, sincerely. Don't hang up on telemarketers. If the dialer program they use works like mine, that just puts your number back into the database. If you don't want to be called again, just say so. We are required by law to comply. Edit. It looks like not every telemarketing company follows these rules. All I know is that these are the rules I've been working under for the past month and a half, so I'm sorry that this doesn't always work. We are a very small company, like 15 employees total, and only call people who've given out their number on various forms of debt relief inquiries online to see whether they're actually interested in talking to the companies concerned. Again, not us, and to collect a little more specific information about the potential customer situation for the salespeople at these companies. As a result, we are expected to make around 10 to 15 leads a day, so if a caller isn't interested in the service, we move on pretty quickly until we find one that does. It probably does work differently at firms that are actually making cold calls to sell services directly. The groundbreaking scientific results published by the mainstream media bear little resemblance to the results published in the actual scientific article. Edit. Wow. Thanks for the gold, Anon. Worked foot service for 15 years in plenty of places. Never seen an ice bin/ice machine cleaned. Edit. I don't mean the bins ice is transported to. I mean the bin where newly created ice is deposited. Also, I do remember them being cleaned, but only when the machine went down and all the ice was used. Certainly the exception, not the rule. I'm in radio. We don't get to pick what we play on air. The PD schedules it, and we just talk in between songs. The closest we get is when we play a request. That's usually something we wanted to hear and no one actually requested it. The guys down at the talk station ironically can play whatever they want, but think the last good song came out in 1975. Most people who say this are ignored as cooks, but having worked in pharmaceutical research, I can confirm this. We already have developed better, safer medicines than most of the crap currently on the market. However, due to the following reasons, most of it will never reach the market. FDA approval costs a fair amount of money and time, and for a new drug to be approved takes bloody years. The slightest freak up in testing, and back to the beginning. Money. If a new drug discovery is not going to be as profitable as the stuff currently on the market, it will simply be patented and sat on research funding. Not enough of it anymore to properly explore all the possibilities. Emergency room doctor here. I really do want you to get better. I really want you to not die. I get spat on and cursed at, and I'm the recipient of several stink eyes daily. If you actually show that you care about your health and listen to me, or show me the slightest bit of respect, I will bend over backwards to help you get better. If I'm not sending you home with a 6-month supply of Delorded, it's because you are better off without it. I'm sorry you have a boxer's fracture because you punched your door, but fractures hurt and I can't take all the pain away and keep you breathing at the same time. Man up and deal with a few days of discomfort. It goes away eventually. I ask probing questions about your sexuality and drug history and the consistency of your poop because it's important. I'm legally prevented from sharing this info with your boss, your wife, the police. Just tell me the truth. The guy on the other side of the curtain has a curling iron stuck up his butt. The herpes you got in high school doesn't shock me. My paycheck is my paycheck. I don't get paid more or less because I prescribe a name brand antibiotic, or decide to do stitches instead of glue, or admit you instead of letting you leave AMA. I get paid the same if I see one patient this shift or 40. Most of my decisions are based on medicine, or to decrease the chances of getting sued. This isn't true for every doctor or even every emergency doctor, but consider giving your physician the benefit of the doubt. If you get the slightest stain on your mattress, the manufacturer's warranty is voided. If you buy a mattress cover. Returning a mattress to a mattress store is hellish. No one wants the mattress you bought without testing. Who knows what you did on it, so vendors make it nearly impossible to return them. It costs a vendor a lot to recondition a mattress. Vendors often have to rent storage lockers/trucks to store soiled mattresses that delivery guys pick up anyway. My company has 2 trucks filled with mattresses marked BF, wrapped in plastic, that the manufacturers will not take back. We have to eat the cost. Bedbugs aren't as big a problem yet, as the media seems to suggest. Before you purchase a mattress, spend at least 30 minutes, more like an hour, laying on it in your normal sleeping position. If the store gives you a hard time, go somewhere else. Do not buy the plushest bed you find. It might feel good at first, but that thing will turn into a mushy hole that causes your back to spasm, so that you pray for death. Don't give the mattress store a bad review cause you bought the wrong mattress, ticked on it, and then they wouldn't take it back. Harley Davidson is in pretty bad shape. They store the lion's share of their new motorcycles in some warehouses in Montana because they don't want to stop production just to keep shareholder happy. They are a ticking time bomb. Oh, also for the last few years they force retailers to buy some new bikes every year, even though they don't change. If the retailers don't buy them, they lose their licensing to sell Harleys. So basically all their sales have been made up for the last 5 or so years.